So wonderful. I spent the morning playing my ukulele and just singing at the top of my lungs, and you know what I was playing? This is ground control to Major Tom. Was Space Oddity by David Bowie, and I was having so much fun. Then I started to do my research or whatever on this video that I'm making for you now, and it's a video about the Chiron and North Node conjunction, which happens on the 19th, and it's significant, like it's a big one, because it doesn't happen that often, and I know you might hear that a lot in astrology, but these things are symbolic, especially weird stuff like Chiron and the North Node. They're both a little iffy energies. Oh, E7th major. I started looking into the Chiron, conjunction with the North Node, into the history of it. Last time Chiron and the North Node were conjoined in Aries was 1969. Guess what happened in 1969? Space Oddity by David Bowie came out. It was in conjunction with the lunar landing, which also happened in 1969. And then I went into this rabbit hole of how cool freaking 1969 was, and how weird and how volatile and how much energetic, all sorts of stuff, and how big of a change period that was, and so much woundedness coming to the surface. There was a lot of other stuff going on during 1969. It can really give us some ideas about what kind of wounds we're working with here in 2024. Chiron and the North Node met up in 1984, and they also met up in 1996 and in 2008. Different signs though. So the reason why I'm talking about 69 is that's the corollary to what we have now. It was Aries, and it's Aries again. I thought it'd be interesting and fun to talk a little bit about the Chiron story, just to get a little more in depth about what the myth is and to try to understand what it even means. And with the North Node coming through, we have this hunger. That's Rahu. It's the head, the dragon without the body. And so we have a hunger and we have a wound. So it's a hunger for healing the wound, or it's a hunger for the wound to come into manifestation, something like that. It sets the seed, a cycle for until they meet again. It's just the way it works. Astrology. Okay, let's go. So I have this book about Chiron. It's Chiron, Healing Body and Soul by Martin Lass. And I really wanted to share with you the mythology of Chiron as he speaks it in this book. I'm gonna get comfortable for story time here. Chiron's grandparents, we'll start from the beginning. All right, well, we'll go with the beginning. Chiron's grandparents were Uranus and Gaia, the sky father, the male spiritual, and the earth mother, female material aspects respectively, and the descending unified galactic light before energy into the egg sac of the nascent solar system. And that's also called the magnetosphere. So I'll just stop up and say that's important to remember this, because Chiron is an integration of the body and the soul, the spirit and the human incarnation, the animal. So that's why that's important. The egg sac thing, though, I don't know why. It's going to come up multiple times, and if you see me, I just don't know why they have to use egg sac. I mean, somebody out there you might know, but I like the magnetosphere better, but we'll say egg sac because that's what's in the book. Chiron was born of an illicit union between Kronos, which is Saturn, and Philyra, which was a sea nymph, or Rhea, depending on the version. And Kronos represents time, Rhea represents space. So keep that in mind too, space and time. That is to say that the birth of Chiron is the birth of the illusions of time and space and the boundary, or the magnetosphere, of the solar egg sac. It's a great idea until they say egg sac. It's basically, the Chiron is the integration of that illusion of time and space. Our innate and often unconscious feelings of separation from our energetic divine origins is mirrored in the aforementioned genealogical descent of light, as well as by Chiron's abandonment by his mother, because she was disgusted by the way he looked, because Chiron was half man, half horse. And this disconnection from his father. He had no connection to his father. He never even knew his father. I guess Saturn was busy being a hermit during that period. I can relate, Chirons. It's hard. I get it. Chiron lived in a cave at the base of Mount Pelion. In mythology, the cave symbol is synonymous with the idea of the underworld. The original meaning of the underworld, according to ancient mysteries, was the realms of consciousness, the astral realms, between the sun and the earth. The realms in which each of us labors for the eventual release from our seemingly endless cycles of incarnation. So again, the Chiron myth describes our further descent, or our wounding, from the boundary of the solar egg sac, or the magnetopause, into the relatively more dualistic realms of lower solar system, the planetary realms and that of Earth. So Chiron is just this representative of that incarnation through this more gravitational, this thicker realm from a light realm, an astral realm. And you have to pick up all those pieces as you're going through the magnetosphere, through that good old solar egg sac. Anyway, Chiron was a centaur. The lower half is a horse, the upper part is a man, and that symbolizes dual nature, duality, the lower animal nature and the higher human nature, the spiritual realm. So the lower animal nature sees the world from a more materialistic or a dualistic perspective. Left, right, positive, negative, right, wrong, pain, pleasure, yes, no, yin, yang, past, future, and so forth and so on. It goes on and on. The higher human nature has the potential to see the world from a more unified or spiritual perspective. As centaurs, in essence, each one of us has the potential to bring together Earth, the lower animal dualistic nature, and heaven, the higher unified human nature. This is basically a reascent from the dualistic realm and integrating it into this boundary of the solar system and finding that within ourselves. Now, you also know that Chiron is the wounded healer, and he was actually wounded in the leg. So that was part of his wound, was in his lower animal nature. And such woundedness is like crippling because we can cripple ourselves with our animal nature. All the 7 sins basically are related to our animal nature. Lust, wrath, gluttony. They're all things we do to satisfy a more materialistic experience. They're not spiritual. And one of my theories is that most of the 7 sins are related to Jupiter and Venus, and most of the virtues are related to Mars and Saturn. So that's a sidetrack. I don't know. But anyway, back to Chiron. That woundedness is more in our human nature than our spiritual nature. That it's basically, we tend to see calamities or bad things really more through pain than the pleasure, or only in hindsight do we ever see the benefits of these challenging experiences. And that's when we can see the blessings, the gifts, the services that are hidden within those calamities. Chiron was raised by Apollo, and Apollo is the sun god, the god of light, music, healing, poetry, truth, prophecy. And that does connect to the idea of the different realms, the above sun and below sun realm. From an astrophysics perspective, the tutoring of Chiron by Apollo, or for that matter, any descent of an avatar to tutor or offer salvation to humanity, whether it's Hermes, Jesus Christ, Krishna, Thoth, on and on, is a representative of periodic solar maximums. During solar maximums, there is an increased output of high energy particles of light consciousness that challenges, assists humanity to evolve biologically as well as spiritually. Chiron was trained by Apollo, and Chiron became a master healer. He had the wound, but he was also a healer, and he taught Asclepius, the father of medicine. So in everyday translation, it says here, our wounds and issues impel us to seek healing. Not only this, but we tend to see our wounds reflected in others, sometimes inspiring a wish to heal others. The next thing that happens in Chiron's story is that he teaches a lot of different mythological people, and then he trades himself to Zeus for the release of Prometheus. He trades his immortality. So that's part of how Prometheus gets released from his torture of being eaten, like his liver being eaten every day by that eagle. And that was symbolic about the liver. It says in here in the book that the liver is the seat of the emotions, the seat of the lower animal nature, which sees the world in terms of duality, as opposed to the heart center, which sees the higher human nature. So he spent 9 days in Hades, and he had this life review, reconciliation. Have you ever seen that movie, Defending Your Life? That's one of my favorite movies. So he had 9 days.
How many days you looking at, eh?
9.
Ooh.
In 9 days, he ate a lot of pie.
You like a pie?
I love pie.
I like you. I'm gonna bring you 9 pies to take with you. A pie for every day.
Anyway, after that, he did some reconciliation, and after he was immortalized as the constellation of Sagittarius. Sagittarius lies right at the galactic core. So if you look at the galactic core, I think it's 27 degrees Sagittarius, but that's the galactic center is in Sagittarius. It's beyond time and space illusions of the solar egg sac, and it represents the greater truth, or the oneness that we all have, and the love of the galactic core consciousness from which the solar system was birthed. It's a healing journey that is complete. Isn't that beautiful? This is the happy ending for Chiron, that Chiron marries Thea, who is a water goddess, and their marriage represents the reunion of soulmates, mirroring the reunion of the male spiritual and female material aspects of creation, going back to his grandmother and grandfather, that those were the split. And Thea, too, ascended to the stars, becoming the constellation of the flying horse Pegasus. In mythology, the flying horse, along with birds, boats, chariots, and other mythic devices, represents the spirit traveling through the astral realms or the waters of space on its descending, wounding, and or its ascending, healing journey. So on the descent, you're picking up your starship, your spaceship, we're in these spaceships, and the astral light body is inside of there. And there's this dualism all the time of the human, which is animal, and the human, which is spirit. Chiron meets somewhere in the middle. Chiron was abandoned by his mother, rejected by his father, didn't even know his father, reflecting on this interplay of legacy, of family, of ancestral trauma, and how he took that ancestral trauma and he was the one, through his sacrifice, through his giving, through his service, that eventually got to heal that. He didn't have an easy situation. He didn't have an easy life, but he persisted. The way he persisted was through focusing on not being stuck in those wounds, not letting it stop him from doing what he had to do, and to embrace his unique gift, his potential. And we can do that too. Not be stuck in our past, not be stuck in what people think we used to be. No, forget about it. There's no reason that has to happen anymore. We have growth in our life. That's the whole point. So I do whole sign astrology. I don't say that hardly ever, but that's what I use. That's what the system I use. And this is where you're going to be finding whole sign, where Chiron is in your chart traveling through right now, making this conjunction. So we're going to go house by house through the rising, just to give you an idea of what this could mean for you during this period. When Chiron transits through a natal chart, it activates different parts of us that are wounded and related to that particular house. And Chiron moves slow, so it takes a while to get through there. And the period does encourage us to address these matters, heal these wounds, expand our awareness in that area that's related to that house. Aries Rising, you have it transiting through your first house. That's your ascendant. It's the most personal house. It's your body. It's your user system. It's everything that you have expressing out on the surface. And it's your self-identity. So it's looking at there, like highlighting issues around your self-image, how you perceive yourself and how you think others perceive you. So thinking about that, it's your physical health, it's your body, the first house, especially your head, headaches, stuff like that has to do with those Aries, blood pressure, things like that. What can you do maybe holistically to heal that? By releasing some sort of fear about yourself or how others perceive you, or holding yourself back from being who you are, especially Aries rising. You gotta be you. How do you do that? The healing path for that is to go towards self-acceptance, self-love. You have to recognize and acknowledge your wounds and the issues that can come from that are very personal, and accept that you have to embrace yourself just as you are. That's really crucial. Unconditional is what we're looking for. And how do you find that? Because that's not as easy as it sounds, easy to say. It's a path, doing things that give you joy, bliss, pleasure. Your wounds and imperfections, start understanding that is not all bad. So intuition is the place to look to that, I think, and listen to your instincts, your intuition, and lead yourself to a place of a higher purpose of your own self, your higher identity. Pisces rising, you have this energetic coming through your second house. And that can be a wound that has to do with material things, your money, your possessions, your values, how you feel about your security in that way. And it's an emotional connection to that. I'm ready to find a little more support in yourself and believe in yourself that you can do it, that you can support yourself, that you can go out there and create some foundations. Ways to do this is trusting the universe. A lot of times this too shall pass is the motto we need to remember, because the universe will provide for us the experiences we're supposed to have. It's that bug and amber thing, It's like you're supposed to have what you have to have. That's not very eloquently said, but just embracing the inherent security and abundance that you can bring into yourself when you trust yourself and trust the universe. But you have to work too. I mean, it's not like you just can give up and just like lie back and let things happen. Finding security, safety, abundance in not just the physical wealth, which is second house, but also in your internal self foundations. That's a beautiful bounty that you can reach during this time to figure out how to heal yourself and how you feel about your self-worth. Aquarius Rising, you have Chiron and the North Node conjoining in your third house. Now, the third house is related to woundedness with communication, anything that has to do with your mental processes, your abilities, writing, speaking, communication in general, networking, internet stuff, any kind of sangha, the groups that you are interacting with, your siblings, your cousins, people in your life that are feel like family. It could have something to do with feeling inadequate intellectually, or maybe like you haven't been able to express yourself in a way that you want to. Maybe some sort of struggle with maintaining focus or attention on tasks that are sort of singular. So the healing involves a path of self-discovery. What are you interested in? Curiosity is the third house thing. Identifying, embracing your intellectual uniqueness, your individuality, your intellect, your intelligence, and accepting and acknowledging that there's more than one way to be smart. You know, there's this whole thing about the standardized smartness is just overrated times a bazillion. You know, there's lots of ways to be brilliant, and expressing that wisdom with other people, focusing on recognizing areas that you excel and not letting the standardized script stop you from expressing that. Capricorn Rising, you have Chiron transiting your fourth house. So fourth house, that has to do with family life, your roots, psychological situations, family karma. So if we think about Chiron's story, that could be playing out a little bit for you in your family dynamics. So issues related to your immediate and extended family, your community, your heritage, your roots. It's about learning to nurture yourself too, psychologically, recognizing that you can be nurturing to others and others can nurture you, and expanding your definitions about family. What other forms of family are out there? Maybe your family has disappointed you, and that's a challenge. You know, look at Chiron's story. You know, he was really not loved by his bio family, but he was loved by Apollo, and he taught students and they loved him, and he found his soulmate. So it's not just about the family heritage that we start off with. There's more than one way to be a family. The path to healing for Capricorn Rising is through self-nurturing, becoming your own family, like thinking about how you would want to be treated by your family. Treat yourself that way. Perception shifts, understanding that there's more than one way to get support, supporting systems, and you can support others in a way too that may be a little different. Explore your psychology a little bit. Deep wound in that area of your life, maybe that goes back to karmic, familial, stuff like that. Sagittarius Rising, you have Chiron transiting your fifth house. And when it's transiting your fifth house, that has to do with your self-expression, your creativity. The fifth house is one of those beautiful little gems. I think of it as the house of your bliss. What would you do? Like, what would you do if you could just have fun and enjoy yourself all the time? That's fifth house. And so we're talking about a wound there. Like, are you feeling that you can't express yourself creatively and just have some fun and joy and do things that make you feel authentically yourself and confident? The wound may be around your ego, your identity, developing a reconnection possibly to your inner child, looking back when you were young, and what was that undomesticated little thing that you were all about? What did you love? What did you want to do? What did you want to be? There could be some woundedness about love and romance, sexual situations, sexual partners or whatever. The healing path in this area is acknowledging that you can shine, recognizing and appreciate your little blissful, beautiful space in your heart and your creativity, your expression that brings joy to the world. It's brilliance. That's brilliance. And particularly how it's perceived and enjoyed by others, what you can share, an authentic expression. allowing yourself to embrace your true self without being guilty. A lot of that has to do with, if you follow what you want to do, people in your life might not think you're doing the right thing or whatever, and you're being selfish. But I highly recommend that you rethink that. Celebrate your creativity. Do the thing that you really want to do. Scorpio rising, we have Chiron transiting the 6th house. So that is one of the less fun houses for this to be going through, but it's necessary. It's service to others, it's habits, it's our health. So there can be issues related to how you approach your work, your day-to-day responsibilities. This is, even mundane things like doing the laundry or the dishwasher or whatever. Your habits, your methods, what challenges you have concerning your ingrained habits, your health habits. Maybe it's time to change something up there that you've been doing and you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be doing that anymore and you know it, or you need to change something there. Oh man, my dogs. I think they're coyotes. All right. Hopefully that was the end of that. One more thing there, and the wound for Scorpio rising can be related to your health. So physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So just keep an eye on that and understand that this is a healing time, that we can find a path towards healing for something like that. Now, the journey entails a recognition of your purpose. Maybe it's time to understand that there's no right or wrong way to do things. A little bit of a perfectionism in the 6th house, especially with it being an Aries house, very driven to get things done. It's a Mars ruled, where Scorpio rising is a Mars ruled sign too. So there's a connection there. Service can run you down to, the nub. So maybe considering where you need to do balance in that, or maybe provide a little bit more service. It could be the other side of that coin, other side of the bell curve. Having this be part of the Chiron North Node, we maybe have a great desire for that perfectionism in this area of life, or maybe feeling like you're not good enough, didn't do a good enough job in service to others or your health, or stuff like that. But it's all part of contributing to that process of creation. And process is not perfection. Process is making mistakes. Process is trying and trying again. Libra rising, you have Chiron transiting the 7th house. So when Chiron is in the 7th house, that has to do with relationships, companionship, social dynamics, any kind of partnership, not just romantic, right? Anytime it's one-on-one. And that is including marriage. It's including social interactions through marriage. And so if there's some dynamics coming through that are a little bit uncomfortable, that's probably why. Feeling like the balance between the I am and the we are, because Libra rising is the we are, but your relationship house is Aries, it's the I am. So coming through in that duality, balancing that aloneness versus companionship. Feeling lonely or feeling a desire for meaningful connections could be coming up. Thinking about social justice and roles in the community and how maybe you can partner with other individuals to move forward in the community. The healing path for Libra rising will be about recognizing the qualities that you seek in other people, that those are reflections of yourself. You already are those things, and that can lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself through relationships. And also celebrating relationship, that can be part of the healing path here, embracing the sacredness of one-on-one relationships and recognizing that companionship is valuable, and it helps us learn a lot about ourselves. Virgo rising, you have Chiron transiting your 8th house. Just like the Scorpio rising, it's the 8th and the 6th. 6th house is tough, 8th house is a little tough too. And when it's traveling through there, there's a little extra woundedness coming up. Maybe some focus on what it means to think about death or crises, upheavals, joint finances. The 8th house is fascinating to me though. I love the 8th. I love all the bad houses. But I really do like the 8th house because it's deep. It's like you go through those situations and you're different on the other side if you go through it and you can handle it, and you can handle it. You can handle whatever comes at you. But this is a little challenging because it's maybe looking at what has changed you through your life of loss. Major life changes through loss and endings, and related to not feeling supported by a tribe. Yeah. This could do with financial matters, other people's money, challenging taxation things, or a partner's money or something like that, but also spiritual matters. Eighth house is a very spiritual house. Has to do with metaphysical concepts, life after death, and that's kind of fun to explore. The healing path involves a perspective shift, recognizing that endings and crises can lead to new beginnings and growth. The wound of something so profound as a loss, like death, seeing the bright side of that is a little bit hard, but it's time. It's time. Eternal spirituality is part of this house, and understanding that behind the material forms, there's an eternal spirit, and our task is to give it some form, just like Chiron did, the blending of those two. Any kind of catalyst or disaster in this area of life, which is very tender and very a little bit of fear based, it's the biggest rocket fuel of evolution for spiritual growth. So you can look at it that way, perhaps through this conjunction. Leo rising, you have Chiron transiting your ninth house. And the wounds could surface related to education, philosophy, spirituality, travel. How do you feel about your education? How do you feel about your philosophical beliefs or your spirituality, your moral values? Does something need to change there? Are you ready to move on and really do that course that you always wanted to do, like get the strength to do that? Spiritual exploration is a big part of this, challenging your inner wisdom and finding some fulfillment spiritually if you felt a little empty or hollow, like you don't have that feeling of a connection to something higher. This could be the point where that comes into fruition. That can be in a lot of ways. It can be through armchair travel, or it can be through studying. It can be through reading books, but it could be true travel and adventure, going out into the world and experiencing things that are not familiar and not being afraid of that. When you go through experiences with the unknown, you're also doing that interior work, and that's an ultimate source of truth that you can find in that interaction between the unknown and yourself. So it's a shift in perspective, understanding that external sources of wisdom are reflections of your inner knowing, and trusting yourself that the wisdom resides in you. Cancer rising, you have Chiron transiting your 10th house. So this could be wounds related to your work, your vocation, your career, your public image, things that you do for money, stuff like that in the 10th house, and your public persona, how people see you, struggles with how you're seen in the public sphere. Maybe it's something to do with ambition or achievement, not feeling fulfilled in that area and wanting to contribute a little bit more or change that in some way. The healing path includes acknowledging and embracing your inner drive, that you might have to work a little harder to get that recognition and success that you need. Even though you might have been working really, really hard, it's not time to give up, not to let those things that have been setbacks set you back. So it's an evolution of consciousness that you can understand that all experiences that you have are fuel. They are for your spiritual growth. They lead you to this divine path, this divine purpose, if you continue focusing your eyes in that direction. And a love for yourself is critical. When you recognize your own achievement, and then outer recognition isn't as powerful over you in either direction. If you get it or don't get it, it doesn't really matter if you have strength in yourself. Gemini rising, you have Chiron transiting the 11th house. So that woundedness has to fit into your collective's expression, your society, how you express yourself in the collective. What networks, what alliances do you have that can help you heal that wound of feeling like maybe you didn't have that, maybe you didn't have those people supporting you and connections supporting you. It's possible that you feel like a stranger in your life or in your group around people or in a crowd, that you just aren't being accepted or something like that. But those collective things, you have to find the right tribe. You have to find the right people because they're out there. Navigating those social connections, through the way to heal through that is to recognize that you have a unique place in the larger context of life. Perhaps this is the time to close off the ones that aren't helping you. You are important to the collective. Your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, your woundedness can help bring the whole collective forward. We're all part of these little puzzle pieces, and together with other puzzle pieces, we make a great big, actual puzzle. I'll have to show you my puzzles. My mom likes to give me cat puzzles. I'll throw a shot in there in my laundry room. charming cat puzzles. My mother's the best. Taurus rising, you have Chiron transiting your 12th house, my other favorite house. It's a little bit more of a challenging one because it's very subconscious. It's a subconscious house. You have to be working really hard to see the truth there. Once you do, the 12th house truths are like mind blowing. But this could be about abandonment, betrayal, feeling ungrounded, feeling confused about your place in life. Not sure about even the higher power, because maybe you've been, had Uranus going through your first house as well, and just feeling shaken up. Like, who am I? What am I doing? This is a whole new level of that Uranus going through your first house and this going through your 12th house. It's coming to some revelation, some realization. Are you a victim or not? Are you being manipulated or not? Are you the manipulator or are you victimizing other people? It's about secret enemies and realizing maybe that you are your own secret enemy in a way. It's your inner life, it's your subconscious, it's your dreams, it's your fantasies, it's subconscious impulses, and including past life experiences. So a lot of the woundedness that could be coming up right now, you might not be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. I'm not victimizing anyone. I'm not a victim. But you could be still feeling that from past life situations, delving into your psyche, understanding your inner darkness, but not having fear about it. 12th house, man, it's all about integration of the shadow and the light. There's both sides there, bringing back what you feel was maybe disowned or denied or condemned, and just showing it some light, some love, some acceptance, and recognizing that you're not the only one that has this, that if you've experienced it, guaranteed other people experience it. There's a universal love involved in this 12th house experience of woundedness, and it's something that you can really meditate on right now and think about. I don't usually do horoscope type things, so we'll see how this video goes. If you liked it or not, let me know in the comments. The Chiron story is special. The North Node connecting to it is special. It just doesn't happen very often, and it's wise to try to put a little bit of focus on the opportunity to heal something huge in our lives. I hope this was helpful. I like you just the way you are, and I'll talk to you soon.